your speed to stretch. And the 0-1 pitch on the way to Edgar Martinez. Swung on the line down the left field line for a base hit. Here comes Joy. Here is Junior to third base. They're going to wait him in. The throw to the plate will be late. The Mariners are going to play for the American League Championship. I don't believe it. It just continues. My, oh my. Edgar Martinez with a double. Whip down the left field line, and they are going crazy at the Kingdom.
Get ready to play hardball in the Kingdom.
Take me to the ball game. I want to see the M's. The Mariners are playing hardball. Did it again and again and again. Did it again.
Princess Tours, the vacation company, brings you the best show in baseball when the San Diego Chicken plays hardball with the Seattle Mariners and the Baltimore Orioles tonight in the Kingdom.
Rye Bread and Mustard, a Mariners podcast.
We have the one and only Mr. Tom Hutler. Do you have any of your favorite stories from the Kingdom?
There was a time we had an earthquake, and so they were going to evacuate the building. So I was like getting up to go leave, and they go, "No, you can't go. You got to read these safety things." It's like,
do we need to tell them that there's smoking's only on the exterior ramps?
Yeah. And Dave came shooting past. He signed off. I'm going, wait, I'm the only one here.
Listen and subscribe to Rye Bread and Mustard, a Mariners podcast, wherever you get your podcasts.
All right, Hanno. We're always looking for consistency, whatever, whether it be with the Mariners or in life, but especially with the Mariners, you can always count on, no matter what the road is here, whatever the roadmap is, we're always going to end up right here, it feels like, in September with the Mariners, of an absolute, just a complete brain fuck of, how are we here again?
Well, it first starts with starting pitching, the backbone of your team. We haven't had it, especially on the road. I mean, he's got Woo's been a great starter for Davis length, and gone his 6 innings all the time. Even gives up a couple in the first inning, second inning. But, I mean, he's not even the worst of them all. We're getting blown the hell out early, and we're out of them early. And it's heartbreaking because, like I said, that's the backbone of your team. And you can just see it on the guys' face. I mean, they're such a skid right now, but hopefully they can get it turned around. That's all I need to do is get it turned around, and that's the hope we got to have going into this series.
Yeah, I got a little bit of footage of the Mariners right here on USS Mariner. There they go. They're storming through some rough water. Yeah. Well, I didn't use, I didn't want to say it was a Titanic because, maybe it was too soon to bring that up. But, these are we got Parmesan LeBron made up some Grok AI footage of like the USS Mariner. Look at this. We got them jumping off the burning ship of the USS Mariner. It's not historically correct because they're in their their home whites. At home they are absolutely killing it. I mean, I feel like with what's going on, I keep this in the back of my mind of trying to stay out of spiraling into Mariner fandom, is that you look at this team and you go, oh man, they're just going to have to get off the road and they're going to have to come home and they're going to have to take care of business. And I do have all the confidence in the world in them going back to T-Mobile Park and, getting close to running the table. We've been seeing that this whole second half. The problem is, even if they do make the playoffs, I have right now no confidence in them going in on a road series somewhere on with the number 3 wild card and making it back to T-Mobile Park. I guess that's what my fear of this is.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just thinking, what a better way to start than this next series, because your following series road trip is going to be just as tough, facing 2 teams, one ahead of you, one just behind you right now, that you're really going to need to play a lot better. So I agree with you. They need to get going at home, get rested up, and play like we know they're capable of, but why not just start a good streak and give these guys some confidence by winning the series, which they haven't won since the All-Star break in Detroit. They just need some confidence right now. They don't have any.
Dude, and you want to know what? Every time we bring that up and you hear it, okay, they haven't won a series in the second half on the road. They've tied one. That was in Anaheim. But you think about, okay, well, who was the last team they won a series? And that was a sweep of the best team record-wise in the AL or in all of MLB at the time. We couldn't have been thinking any better about the team as a road team. They were, hovering right around a little bit over 500, I believe. And, you have a series like that against a team like that, you're feeling pretty tough about your team. And then, cut to now with seemingly a better roster, more offense on it, that's for sure. Personnel wise, you really don't have too many complaints as far as the lineup, and you're getting this result from them. And the offense has not been there. I mean, there's been a few games. There's one against the Mets series. I'm thinking about when they won in Baltimore. I think they won 1-0. So I'm just thinking of the 3 games that they did win. They're really not hitting consistently, but the pitching on the road, you're right, has just been god-awful. Uncharacteristic.
Yeah. And it starts with the starting pitching, and then even when we get, back into games, the bullpen seems to leak it away. So all around, just the whole pitching staff has not been what we've expected here of late. And we haven't seen this in a long time, especially from the starters, especially this consistently. But it has to change, because if it doesn't, you will see them right out of the playoff picture.
Well, I've made this comparison to you before, but I said in a bad omen kind of way, it reminds me of and I can go back to this, the 1996 Mariners. I was just thinking in my head, God, I remember that team. I know they set all kinds of offensive records. I remember Randy Johnson did get hurt that year, so I went back and I looked it up, and there is quite a bit of comparisons when you check this out. Just look at this lineup back then. You had Dan Wilson was on that team too, so there's your connection. 285, 18 home runs, 83 RBIs from behind the plate. Paul Sorrento, 289, 23, 93 RBIs. Little Joey Cora, 291, 6 home runs, 45. But here you go. A-Rod, 215 hits, 358, 36 home runs, 123 ribbies. Russ Davis, not great. 234, 5 home runs, 18 RBIs. Rich Amaral, not a power guy, but 292 would swipe you some bags. Then you had Griffey, 49 home runs, 140 RBIs. Then you had Jay Buhner, 44 home runs, 138 RBIs, and Edgar Martinez, 26, 103. You look at the bench, was pretty good too. Luis Sojo, Brian Hunter, Darren Bragg. They did add Mark Whitten at that trade deadline. That was a 300 hitter who had really good power. And then Raul Bañez was on that team, your favorite. Sterling Hitchcock, Bob Walcott, Matt Wagner, Jamie Moyer, Terry Mulholland. You really don't have too many great pitchers. Jamie Moyer was a solid pitcher, but you lost Randy Johnson that year to injury, because I think he was 5-0 to start the year. And then so that's kind of similar to the injuries we've had. And you look at this offensive output, you look at all those great numbers that these guys had. It kind of reminds you of this year, where you're like, A-Rod and Griffey have, Cal and Eugenio numbers, or Eugenio and Julio numbers. But look at these averages are a lot better. But I mean, this is a team that missed the playoffs too by 4 games behind the Texas Rangers. So there's a little bit of an omen there, but I found some similarities in the team just on the offensive end, and just like the roster, how good of a roster it was. But again, this is before they had wild cards. They maybe would have made a wild card.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you bring up wild card. I mean, it's amazing that the Mariners haven't made in these last couple of years and might see their way out of it this year. I mean, it's those teams definitely would have made it, but yeah, there's a few similarities. I see what you're saying. But those teams, I don't remember them having just such the up and down waves of going so cold, either on the pitching staff or especially the hitting. But I mean, it was a long time ago. But yeah, I mean, like I said, they just need to get a break. They need to also, besides when I say get a break, they need to create some of their own breaks too. There's been that time here in Tampa where Palunka was on second and Rayleigh was on first, and he didn't read the ball quite that well. If he would have, he might have scored. And that's the one where they tried to backdoor Rayleigh. And, and then we saw Garver come up later. I don't know if you remember this. And then he had a sacrifice fly. And that could have changed the complexion of the game right there. I realized it was a hard ball to read, but those are just the little things where I'm saying you got to make your own breaks too. So just something I noticed.
Yeah. Well, one thing back to this 96 team. Look at this 85 and 76. Better. I mean, they were over 500 both on the road and away, but just about the same. 48 and 38, 42 and 38, 4.5 back. And here's another cool thing that they had on here. You forget television back then. Cairo 7 and Prime Sports Northwest. I haven't heard that name in a very long time. Dave Niehaus, Riz, and Ron Fairley.
Some of the great voices of our time, for sure.
Yeah, and I guess my comparison is there were some historic things happening. I believe that was like the Mariners broke a home run record, and then I think it was broken like a year or two later. But they had like a historic offense as far as the franchise, at least. And you look down the Mariners lineup, and you do see all these great numbers. From Randy to Julio to Cal to Eugenio. You throw Polo's numbers in there where you're like, all those numbers are very similar to that 96 team. And the pitching was their shortcoming. And that seems to be overall this year. It does feel like that because that's what you were built around. And we've seen spurts of it. We've seen small sample sizes of when they're really dominant, but there's been absolutely no consistency there. And I would argue there's been more consistency out of the offense than what you'd expect out of the pitching for this whole season.
Yeah, could be. I haven't really thought about it or looked at it that way, but I see what you're saying.
Let's see this. What's this? We got some we got a message in here. Are you guys still going to do the podcast from Seth? Are you guys still going to do the podcast next year if they miss the postseason? Yeah.
Seth, you want to come on and take my spot?
Yeah. The goal is to win a championship so we can quit doing this podcast. So when anybody asks you, well, yeah, I listen to Rye Bread and Mustard. Well, what are they all about? There's just two guys that are stuck on the Mariners Gilligan Island, right?
Shout out to you, Seth. It seems like you're here every time, and
Yeah,
that's
he's
pretty
a
cool.
regular contributor. The other contributors need to step up their game. They're not here like Seth is.
Yeah, because I was gonna say, if you're listening to this at 9:30 on a opening night with Mariners in a free fall, a 3-game series. I got issues for doing this. You got issues for listening to it.
Yeah. So happy to have you. And he also says, I remember tuning into those 90s games on bunny ears. My, oh my, how times have changed. $, $. Agreed. Yeah. So yes, I do feel like as a Mariners fan, like, look, we're back here in September, worried about missing the playoffs / now with the road woes, where are you going to be in the playoffs? Like a wild card selection to me that we have seen the Mariners go and take care of business when they went to Toronto and did that. But that team seemed to be a little bit more resilient on the road. And you're right. A lot of these losses have been, I hate when you use the word non-competitive, but that's the best way to describe them.
Yeah, definitely. Absolutely.
Flat. And that brings me to this. I did have this maybe on the docket here. I had a couple things from Seattle Times, but there was a article, and like we always say, we're paying for this shit, so we might as well use it. There was an article talking about if the Mariners have overplayed their players. They haven't really done any load management. Maybe that's something to point at here in the second half of their, spiraling slowly down the drain. And it's called, what is this? Are the Mariners players wearing down due to playing too often? And this was by Divish. Did you check out this article yet, Hannah?
No, but I've heard people talk about, so I got the gist of it.
Yeah, I think the main thing that they're pointing to here is, let's just go by the numbers. Julio Rodriguez, 139 games, all starts, 1,214 in the third innings played. He's played in all but one game this season. His only day off came on May 22nd, and that was when he was taken out of the starting lineup against the Astros when he had back tightness. So that's the only game Julio's missed. But you look at Julio now compared to May 22nd, seems like he's doing just fine.
Yeah, he's really turned it on. Better knock on some wood about talking about back stiffness, because, man, it seems like every year he's had more than a chunk of time with back stiffness, and I was thinking about that, how he really hasn't this year, and let's hope it stays that way. But, yeah, I read that the Mariners have the most players, or they have 5 players, the most on any team that play the most games this year, so, I get it. Anybody's looking for an angle or an excuse or whatever. I haven't really noticed it much lately. You notice it with Cal a lot, but he always wants to be in there. But as of late in these games, I could disagree and think Dan could have went about things a little bit differently and pulled guys late in games. And we've seen really none of that to try to give these guys a breather. Really, it's go time, like we've mentioned before, and they really can't take a breather right now. But if you have those little chances to give them half the game off because you stunk it up early, might as well take advantage of it.
Yeah, like right now, I don't feel like you can change your philosophy on this. Like, there's not enough time to do. There's not enough runway to do that. Let's go to Randy Arozarena, 138 games, all starts. Innings, 1,198 in the third. He's played every day except for versus the Marlins on 25th. That's when he left the game, and then the next day he was out with hamstring tightness, and it was one game. I do remember that. So that's the only time he's been out. And then this is probably the big one that people are going to really want to point out and break down or dissect. And that's Cal Raleigh, 137 games, 135 starts, 925 innings. He has had his days off here and there, but yeah, this guy is out there all the time. We know the story about Cal. But in the past, the more he's been beat up and the more he plays, for some reason he responds better that way, it always seems.
Yeah, I mean, I really don't remember maybe just a couple times he's had a full day off. I mean, I get it. It's a day off for him when he DHs. But, yeah, I mean, it's probably a good article, and it brings the points you brought up. But we got 22 to go. Here's the finish line.
Yeah.
Who
And
cares?
you got JP Crawford, 136 games, 135 starts. Sure, this is somebody I think that could benefit with a little more time off when you get to JP. Like a day here or there, but right now, again, there's nothing you can do about it. It's go time.
Yeah, I mean, I understand maybe to get these guys a little bit more rest. Players in the years past have always played anywhere from like 140 to 150 something games, and there's been no issue. But it is different the way these guys travel. I mean, not literally travel, but the Mariners are in the air a lot more than other teams, probably the most, along with Sacramento. So, and it just seems of late this year they've had so many. Each road trip seems to go back to the East Coast late, where it wasn't spread out as much throughout the season. So I'm sure that could have an effect as well. But honestly, it's an excuse. It all comes down to them just not playing good ball right now.
Agreed. And just the last one, and then we'll move on from this. Eugenio Suarez, because we haven't had our eyes on him all year. 137 games, 134 starts, 1,140 and 2/3 innings. We already know this about Eugenio. He plays every single day. You know, I get this analogy of this, but yes, I just think back to watching baseball my entire life. The load management thing has never really been a big baseball thing. But they do point here that, he's played in 31 games since joining the Mariners, and 202 slash line for 22, 6 doubles, 6 home runs, 18 RBIs. And maybe you could make the argument that it seems like he's like half a step slow over at third base. I get it. But again, I think right now people are analyzing, and it's just it's talking points. If we didn't have these talking points, we wouldn't be here. But people are overanalyzing the weather, what type of weather, what type of travel, what load management, and it's just they're just not playing good baseball, and it happens to the best teams. And you kept saying, what were you saying? What was your thought to keep yourself at least out of the gutter with what's going on?
I was saying, I mean, yeah, I just said, to keep myself mentally straight is that, this is a rough patch on the road here. This, last month, that, maybe it's a good thing, and hopefully they can get it turned around here and then right away and get going and get hot, and then get in the playoffs, obviously, and then be able to run right through the playoffs playing your best baseball. Because, I mean, like you just mentioned, there's teams that go through these stretches all the time, throughout the year. Just unfortunately, the Mariners the last couple of years with Scott Service, that trip in Pittsburgh that got him fired, and then these last 2 road trips with the Mariners late in the year, they just look eerily the same, and it's verified too when you lose or you don't make the playoffs by 1 game in the last few years. So
it's
I'm keeping myself sane, just trying to get it turned around and hopefully get hot.
Yeah, you think about, people don't really equate the Dodgers last year to that, but they were a team that was not playing very good baseball down here. I was down here. I was around it. I listened to all my friends talk about it. You go the year before that, Texas Rangers. I mean, talk about bouncing back. I mean, they had a lead the entire year. They shit that up. You're going down to the last weekend with the Mariners, to see if there's going to be like a tie, and the Mariners would have the tie break, so they were looking down the barrel of the gun, remember that. That was 23. So, and then I even remember, I think when the Atlanta Braves won, whatever year that was, 21 or 22, 21, they were a team that wasn't very good. And then they just kind of like snuck in there, and they were playing their best baseball at like the very end of the year. So yeah, if we were on the other side of this and we were super hot, you'd be worried about them fizzling out.
Yeah, and then Texas, the year they won the World Series too, was cruddy on the stretch and got extremely hot. Had that terrible bullpen, and then their bullpen was the catalyst for them in the postseason too. So,
we do have some. We got comments coming in all over the place. Let's go to these ones that are right here. Okay, we got AG says Dan and Gar need to go. Well, anything's talk about anything in the off season. You're not firing anybody right now. I don't know what Edgar's done wrong. In fact, this week though, I do have to say, I was like, somebody needs to get Edgar out there, and then I saw Edgar in the dugout, and I was like, oh, nothing's helping this, I guess. Let's see what else we got. Sonic's Joe.
Hitting coach is like an offensive coordinator in football. You either love him or you hate him.
We got Sonic Joe says, get Joe Madden and Theo Epstein. I've heard that. Go ahead, Hannah.
I was just going to say, I've heard that philosophy. Maybe not there those names, but it's a question to be brought up. Should they clean house if they can't hold on here?
We also, let me jump on that too. Before the Dan Wilson hire, or like when I saw that they fired Scott Service, and then they named him as the manager, I was like, okay, like interim, like we all, like a lot of us thought, oh, is this an interim thing? And they made it very clear though, right away, it's not an interim thing. But knowing that, like a Tito Francona was out there, and some other names that maybe people, I'll always bring his name up, Dusty Baker, maybe he'd want to come back. I don't know. I would love to know the whole vetting process of how that happened, but I love Dan Wilson, but sure, his game calling, I think maybe because we're coming down the stretch now here, and it's been for a while though, but it's a hot topic out there, as far as the critic.
Yeah, you're exactly right. I mean, he has no experience. He's never done it. And that, like you mentioned, things are magnified right now. And when you're being second guessed and every kind of decision you make is questionable, and then on top of it, like I mentioned, you have no experience, and the way the narrative is about the Seattle Mariners at the end of the year, it's going to come up.
I got a surprise for you here in a second. Here, let's get to another question. Hannah loves his questions. Let's see. AG1. What was the deal with moving Gino to first base last game?
I asked you that question last night myself.
I got you guys the answer, and I think it's right here over on X if you don't believe me. I think they had taken Naylor out just because of the score, and he's still getting his shoulder still getting wrapped, I think, before games. And then Luke Raley had something come up, so that's why. So it was a precautionary thing for Luke Raley, and then that's why Gino moved to first base.
Yeah, I was surprised to see Gino over there. What it is, an oblique tighten up or something? What did you tell me?
Yeah, I'll pull it.
It's kind of worrisome.
Yeah, he's just never looked healthy all year. He's kind of had that Santos thing about him, like where you just like, and he's such a Dude, when Luke Rayleigh's healthy and we seen him run the way he used to just gallop like a, just like a stud horse, this dude plays when he plays hard and physical, you're getting so much out of him, but you've not seen the power, and he's just never gotten to a rhythm all year, and he's been injured.
Yeah, here was what it said. You told me tightness in his side and was lifted out of caution. So, he had that oblique, and that's why he was on the IL for so long, and makes sense why. But it just surprised me seeing him over there. And what kind of popped into my head was with Gino moving over there is, what about Williamson? I know we called up Harry Ford. Gino, throughout at least one game this series, that it was a hard shot, but he misplayed it horribly, just something I haven't seen from him in a while. But what if and when Williamson was up, things were going better for the team. He's improved his hitting. He's a great defender. What about the possibility of bringing him up again? Having Naylor just play your first base, like you said, and then move Gino to DH. I'm just throwing it out there. It's just something I thought about.
And if you don't want to lose Polo's bat, you put him at second base.
He can be a bat off the bench.
Yeah, I do have to agree with you with the Ben Williamson. Him not getting called back up, I was a little bit surprised. I wasn't following living on base Leo Rivas, but when I look at what he's done in the minors, I go, well, he deserves to come back up too. But yes, there's been many balls hit down that line, and I'm not trying to pick on Gino. I'm just thinking the young, athletic, he's just faster, and defensive wise, he's better than Gino. I'm not saying Gino's bad, but he's defensively, Ben Williamson is on a whole nother level than Gino is defensively.
Yeah, I don't know how big of a deal it would make, but it would be interesting if they went to that move. But I'm with you. Yeah.
Look at this AG trying to take over the show here. He goes, why are we running Garver out? Down 9-0 in the first inning. Let's get Ford in at bat. Team look run down in Tampa Bay. People are talking about that for sure. Atlanta, real ballpark. It's his hometown. Maybe that was something. But then why bring him up if you're not going to use him? Sure. There's plenty of times for him to pinch hit in that series or play an inning, or we just read this article about people having too many innings. Yes, there's definitely an argument that, hey, why not?
Absolutely. My theory is kind of crazy. I think Dan tries to keep Garver feeling good about himself and the confidence, or try to get his confidence back. He's a veteran. He doesn't want to lose him, if there's mentally, but looking at a lot of his at bats, they've been just absolutely awful. Other than that one I mentioned, he roped a nice liner to score a Polo on that sacrifice fly, and other than that, his swings have looked terrible. He's been fooled badly. Some people mentioned that Harry Ford hasn't caught these guys that much. But he's caught guys in spring training. Maybe you don't want to throw him out there. I don't know, but he caught Saucedo and all those guys down the minors that pitched in the bullpen. So I don't know. My theory is, though, that Dan wants to, because he's a veteran, he wants to try to keep Garver going. But it's insanity too if you keep doing the same thing over and over and it's not working. So I don't know.
It was just weird. It was just like, why not put him in those games? We've talked about this before, just jokingly, like, what if you got called up and you're playing in Sacramento? What if you got called up? I guess George Steinbrenner Stadium, that's not a minor league stadium. That's a MLB spring training facility. But yeah, let's say you just get your call up and that's your only day. Maybe you get sent back down, maybe your taxi squad, and that's your only major league experience of seeing the bright lights. That would suck. That's not the case for Harry Ford here, but maybe I don't know. The Atlanta thing's got to happen just because of the screwy schedule. So I think that's where it's definitely going to happen.
Yeah, one more point to bring up. His mom, I heard on the broadcast, got to Tampa, but his dad back in Europe there wasn't going to make it until the Atlanta series. I mean, it's hard to think that the Mariners would not want to play him until his whole family's there, but who knows?
Yeah. Well, Hannah, we're gonna go to a quick break here, and I got a surprise for you. Something we were talking about. You'll figure
we're cutting the show early tonight.
No, not. I said a surprise, not your wish, not what you just sent me here. But we're also going to be streaming. So we're going to be here like we are here on the Rye Bread and Mustard Mariners podcast. That Down on the Dock on the other side of the track 5-star dive bar podcast. We'll be right back. Right after a couple of these videos to stall. All right.
Get ready to play hardball in the Kingdom.
Take me to the ball game. I want to see the Ants. The Mariners are playing hardball. Did it again and again and again. Did it again.
Princess Tours, the vacation company, brings you the best show in baseball when the San Diego Chicken plays hardball with the Seattle Mariners and the Baltimore Orioles tonight in the Kingdom.
Mr. Buhner, will you play Pepper with me?
I can't, son. It's against the rules.
How many times have you heard that? Hi, I'm Ken Griffey Jr. When I'm not running the bases, I'm running for president. Vote for me, and I promise to erase every no Pepper sign in America.
Mr. Griffey, will you play Pepper with me?
Sure, kid. Could you help me out with some swing states?
Oh, yeah, I guess.
A shoe at every foot and a Pepper game in every backyard.
I think Ken Griffey is spending too much time on the field, not enough time on issues like the flat tax.
No Pepper? I say yes to Pepper.
Look, Pepper was outlawed for a reason. It tears up the turf.
You know how big this thing was? Look at this. Pepper ban, and right under there, Korean War ends.
The man don't want you to play Pepper. You gonna listen to the man? If you outlaw Pepper, only outlaws will play Pepper.
So where's the candidate stand on real issues, like the flat tax?
I mean, if they're so smart in Washington, why don't they have a baseball team?
Baseball without Pepper is like baseball without baseballs.
Hey, anyone can champion Pepper. It takes a real man to champion the flat tax.
It's Pepper that people want. They don't care about the minimum wage, the flat tax. They want Pepper, and they want it now.
Pepper to the people, man. Land of the free? Why can't I play Pepper?
Jefferson should have said life, liberty, Pepper in the pursuit of happiness, because it just didn't sound right. But that's what they meant to say. I know that.
And where's this Moose stand on the flat tax?
The Moose has never answered that question. All right, we got a nice little surprise for you, Hannah.
Oh, guest. He's taking over.
We got an impromptu guest here, a fellow Mariners podcaster, maybe one of the hardest working guys out there. You do broadcast, every single Mariners game? We got Rooftop Sports. What's going on, man?
It is going great. I am actually happy that there is a Mariners day off because, boy, am I just dreading that Atlanta Braves series. And I will be doing 2 of those games, Saturday and Sunday. And to be exact, I'm making a count of how many games I've done this season. I am at 58 this season out of, was hoping to get to around the hundreds, but that's not going to happen this season.
Damn, that is impressive. 58 games. So are you on just like right when it starts and right when it ends? Or are you doing pre and post stuff, or?
I do the whole play-by-play.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, play-by-play. I react to it, and at least give fans an opportunity. Like if they don't want to spend money on cable or whatever, or if they don't want to even subscribe to radio, I'm the guy.
Yeah,
I might have to check you out. I get tired of our broadcast lately, so that's good to know.
Yeah, you are always welcome. Oh, there's a fan of mine, Danny is here.
Daniel Barry Sports Highlights. So this is one of your people. You also are streaming here through your YouTube page. Is that correct?
I am, yeah, looking for a way to help you guys get into. Well, you're at 340, and the goal is to always get to that 1,000. So anything to help, because I had people like Jay Tribe Podcast. He lifted me. He helped me get to 1,000. So now I got to pass the buck.
Hey, thanks.
Yeah, thank you.
YouTube's a newer thing for here. We've been primarily when we started this, a podcast for Odyssey Sports. So when we were over there, our stuff would go on the Odyssey Sports and Odyssey page. And so when we were unceremoniously let go from Odyssey, we just last year when we kept doing it, we weren't really putting anything on there. So this year we've done quite a bit more live stuff and some audio or non-audio, like videos and shorts and things like that. So it's been we're putting more of that kind of stuff into the show this year, and it's been a lot of fun doing that versus Odyssey, where you're having to do every series and break every series down, and that's like not really what we do here on this podcast. It's more of a heart on your sleeve, like a fan. I'm a writer down in Los Angeles, and if any of your new people come on here, it's Hannah's up in Edmonds. And are you in Seattle?
I'm in Renton.
Renton. All right. Yeah. Okay. My mom lives in Renton. So let's talk about your kind of brand of stuff. You make little small documentaries that you put on your YouTube channel about Seattle sports.
Yeah, I do. Like the very first one that I ever did it was a very unique video, but it was inspired by Yordan Alvarez's home run off of Robbie Ray. And there was actually a connection where the Mariners actually indirectly got Yordan Alvarez to the Astros through that Eric Bedard trade that was like Eric Bedard and Josh Fields to Boston. And then the Rule 5 draft, Houston got Josh Fields, and then they traded Josh Fields to the Dodgers to get Yordan Alvarez. So there was that video. I did the 2000 Mariners video because when we all think of Mariners in playoff runs, we always think about 1995, 2001. But 2000 is also that forgotten gem where they actually also made it to the American League Championship Series the year after Ken Griffey Jr. got traded. So there was that. So I do a lot of nostalgic videos there and there. Just haven't done it for quite some time because those kind of videos require I take the time to do the writing, the recording, the editing. So I'm starting to running out of ideas too, unfortunately.
Well, there's Seattle history's books about this thin, compared to other sports fan bases. So you've had some stronger feelings too about Dan Wilson or the Mariners in general. Where do you sit right now? Right here, we're calling this kind of like our perfect storm, our WTF episode. Where are you with all of this?
Man, well, knowing that I've been a fan since 2000, it takes a lot for me to actually be positive. After going through the Bavasi years, the Jack Zarenzik years, first half of Jerry Dipoto's, wear and tear is there. But for Dan Wilson, I tried to love the guy. I tried to really like the guy from the Mariners. He was a catcher from the 90s to the early 2000s. And it looked like he was doing just fine in the second half. And then all of a sudden this year, a lot of the moves he makes, it heavily reminds me of what Scott Service is doing. But on the other hand, sometimes it also makes you question, is it really Dan Wilson? And was it Scott Service making those moves? Or was Jerry Dipoto making them make those moves? Which we're still not sure. And it's just not sure if Dan Wilson can actually lead this team through the tough months of September. Now, don't get me wrong, it's a bad road trip. Mariners just for some reason stink on the road. They've stunk on the road since the Detroit series before the All-Star game. So maybe, just maybe, that this is just a one little bad stretch. And then once we're back with St. Louis and the Angels, maybe we just forget about all that stuff and we just laugh at the Tampa series. But that Atlanta series, if they're not careful, if they don't even get like 2 out of 3, which I hope they do to make up for all the other series, we could be talking about Mariners being like a game and a half or a half game out of the wild card, which also terrifies me. And then that's where they may go in that downward spiral. But Dan Wilson's decision making with the pitchers do concern me. And sometimes I'm not the biggest fan of his lineup. Like I'm probably the minority, but I'm just not a fan of Randy Arozarena or being the leadoff hitter. I'm more of a JP Crawford guy, or maybe if Victor Robles is back, or maybe if he didn't throw his bat, maybe he could have been leadoff, but who knows?
Hannah?
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you. For me, I wouldn't mind seeing Cal drop down. I've been okay. I mean, he's slumping, but I don't think that's the spot where he is in the order. I liked Rosarena to start with. I don't really have a problem with it, but I agree with you. Robles is a good choice. I wouldn't choose personally, in my opinion, Crawford. But other than that, I agree with you. His pitching decisions are tough. I just don't know how much Dan has control over the lineup. If it's a collaboration between him and the front office or what, it's hard to say. That's what was so much talked about in the Scott Service era. Scott Service was Jerry's handpicked guy to bring in, so I'm not sure if that's still continuing or not.
I feel like it is, because when we go back to the Angels, Mike Scioscia and Jerry Dipoto were like at war with each other, like, because Jerry Dipoto, he wants control. But Mike Scioscia says, no, this is my baseball team. I get to make the baseball decisions. I won the World Series in 2002. I made the Angels into relevancy. You just sit back there and make your moves and let me do my job. And so eventually, or it looks like Arden Moreno just went with Mike Scioscia, and that's why Jerry Dipoto went to Seattle, because he knew that it was going to be pretty easy to control the team as however he likes to do, as long as, of course, he kisses up to that payroll that John Stanton enforces him to do.
Heck yeah.
Before we go down that rabbit hole, I do want to say there's a couple of decisions that Dan Wilson made, and I agree with you with some of the pitching ones. And one of them is, just like any kind of argument you'd have with any sort of relationship where you're like, oh, that one, it still bothers me. I'm still not over it. And it was one that Hannah and I were like, he didn't fully agree with me on this, but it was when we were playing this last series against the Padres. It was game 2 where he gave up the 5, where Luis Castillo gave up the 5 spot in that game. And then he settled all the way down. Sure, his pitch count was about 87, but the Mariners just had this emotional, back-to-back, not back-to-back, but they had the 2 3-run home runs, scoring 6 runs that inning. And then I think they brought in Caleb Ferguson, where Luis Castillo's dealing. He's got his mojo back. He takes 2 innings to get going sometimes, unfortunately, but it seemed like he was just tearing through the Padres. And then he goes to Caleb Ferguson, who's just been an automatic run to 2 runs every time you bring him in. That's one that bothered me. I don't know what you guys thought about that one.
There are times where Dan Wilson will do that. And Scott Service did it even more, where pitchers wheeling and dealing, pitching like borderline no-hitters, which was much more frequent last year because that 2024 bullpen was just unbelievable. And then, he pulls the starter, and then the bullpen just lays an egg. And there are times where I do wish that, I know that Mariner starters pitch more than anyone else, but there are situations there are those moments where they could just go one more inning. That way we can save the bullpen arm, so we don't end up using Brash, Spire, and Munoz all in one game, so we could at least save them for the next game. And I know statistics are going to say, well, we don't really use our bullpen pitchers that much, and we use our starters quite a bit, but there are times where in that moment, there are situations where, no, they can go one more inning, and the bullpen could use some rest there and there.
I think when they're dealing, when you bounce back in a game like that one against the Padres, where you're like, okay, he's dealing now. Let's just let him go until he gets 1 or 2 guys on base. Maybe he walks somebody. Okay, let's take him out. Walk somebody, single, great. Yeah, sure, we might be in a situation, but those are the kinds of things that I just didn't understand. That was only in the 6th inning as well. And you're right. And then the Mariners had to go through their whole bullpen, and it was bullpen versus bullpen, and the Padres won that game.
Yeah, the Mariners definitely overused their bullpen. I mean, you're right. The starters had trouble going 6 early on when they were just trying to get them going, and the bullpen pitched a lot. Now the Mariners starters are going 6, and you're just going with the same guys. There's guys down there that don't even see the field. I mean, you're right. The bullpen is nowhere near what it was last year, a couple of years ago. They were lights out, but there's just so many guys they can't even count on right now.
Yeah, as far as the back of the bullpen, you got 2 guys that you can really just say in that bullpen that you're like, all right, I really trust. Maybe 3, and then after that, you just don't. When are you waiting for? I'm so scared about the Bizzardo thing, even though he's absolutely earned all these spots this year. I'm just waiting. I guess my pessimistic Mariner side of me is just waiting for him to go back to the guy that he was. Vargas doesn't seem as effective at all anymore. Caleb Ferguson, we've gone from going, it wasn't great, in the last couple of weeks to now we're going, it's pretty much turning into a bust. You also have had to have Salcedo up here a bunch. I think he's went back down to the minors. I wouldn't mind not seeing him again. I know some Seattle people get upset when you talk about Taylor Salcedo, but I mean, come on. I mean, and that's your bullpen. I don't know if either of you guys have heard any more about Santos. Is that even going to be an experiment they're going to do this year?
I haven't even heard of Santos's name in a long time. And I mean, at this point, like, if he's healthy by then yeah, why not give it a shot? Because Taylor Saucedo ain't doing it. Because what I have seen him do, I have seen him doxing trolls on the internet about supposed death threats than watching him at least have a clean inning. If anyone remembers that, he actually, I think it was his performance against Philadelphia. Yeah. He gave up like 5 runs when Saucedo shouldn't have been pitching anyway, so he shouldn't have been put in that situation. But he then goes on the internet and go, someone hurt my feelings. Now, of course, we don't send death threats. No one should do that. But at the same time, he was doxing someone of an Instagram with only 36 followers without even a profile picture. I don't think that was anyone to really dox about. Now, if it was someone like me or that was he posted on his Twitter about right after that disastrous game. But yeah, but it doesn't matter. He doesn't seem like he's going to be on the team much longer anyway, since he hasn't been effective since really 2023, and that was most likely the prime of that bullpen.
And I've seen that the Mariners have been grabbing people too, because sorry, real quick, Chris. I keep seeing that they keep grabbing guys that are been put through waivers, right? And I think a couple of them are left-handers, and which also signals to me that they know that this Caleb Ferguson thing is not working out as well.
You're right. I mean, he's given up each time out here lately. It seems like he's given up at least a run, or feels like he gives up a hit, hits a guy. He's not been consistent after when he first got brought over here. He looked, we might have something with him, but he has not been good since then. And yeah, maybe they are bringing up that lefty to relieve him, and because Spire can't go every day, and so it's a mess. The bullpen, it's a revolving door down there.
Yeah, there's certainly not the same bullpen as it was in the past 2 years. And I remember we even were concerned about last year's bullpen, but right now, we could use 2024's bullpen right now.
Yeah, no kidding. And that's the thing that where you just can't let go of things, where I'm trying to move on with the team, but you think back to when they did not take those advantages, when they had this historic pitching staff at this historic years. It's and some people are like, well, if we waste this year with how the offense is and Cal's historic year, I mean, it's the same thing. They keep missing these little windows right here. And with the health of the way that the pitchers are going and them just, they're not old, but they're getting to that stage of they've had a lot of wear and tear and they've thrown a lot of spin and they've done this where these injuries are just going to come to the Mariners. So that's kind of like the concerning thing is if you can't get it done this year, or what does this pitching staff look like if you do make the postseason? Because I don't think it's scary and dominant like the way we thought it was last year whatsoever. I think we can agree on that.
Well, and the scary thing too is Scott Service and Jerry Dipoto and now Dan Wilson, they did everything they can to preserve the pitching. Like they would put them on pitch counts, and sometimes like it felt like in the middle of a no-hitter, Scott Service like, nope, pull them out, don't care. And then they, of course, would lose that game. But even with all of that, all the pitching management, all of that, we're still seeing starters hurt. So, I mean, I don't know. I mean, that seems like another topic of discussion of like how to fix that problem, because there's really
they need to just go back to late nights, lots of beer, womanizing, drinking, eating burgers. I mean, that's what like guys like Jack Morris or whoever used to do back in the day. And they
Bob
never
Gibson. Because I posted that on Twitter. You may have saw that. He went with no fear. And I mean, look at this. Like, they're doing all the pitch count management stuff. They're doing pitching clocks or whatever. And Tommy Johns are just going through the roof. And most of it is because the other theory I also have is all these pitchers, modern pitchers these days, they're expected to throw like 95 plus mile an hour fastballs.
Sure.
And because of that, that's going to put wear and tear in the arm rather than mix them up. Like Bryce Miller, for example, is a great example. At one point, I think in 2023, he was pitching 40% of his pitches were fastballs, but all of his like breaking stuff and all of his other cool stuff, they were like in the low 10s or like maybe in not even in the 20s. So when things are not being mixed up and you're just relying everything on fastball, one, you're going to be too predictable. And then two, the wear and tear in the arm, just like Felix Hernandez had a wear and tear. Now, that situation was different because he was forced to carry that entire team, and that's why his body didn't last long at all.
Yeah, here's the thing that you posted. Bob Gibson in 1968, innings per game by 7, 9, 9, 12, 11, 8, 9.2, 8, 8, 9, 9, 9, 9, 9, 9, 9, 9, 9, 9, 9, 9, 11, 9, 9, 9, 9, 10, 8, 9, 8, 8, 9, 9, 9, 9.
He certainly didn't live in fear. Same with Randy Johnson and Nolan Ryan. They also didn't live in fear. And those were also guys where they threw flamethrower pitches. Granted, they mixed them up a lot, but they lasted years and had amazing longevity.
Yeah, earlier we were talking about injuries and pitching, and I was kind of equating this team before you got on here, and I'll just rip it right back here. I was kind of equating this Mariners team to the 1996 Mariners team. So this is before you were, really watching, but you've done your history, and
I was
the
4.
reason why I was 4 as well. No, I'll just keep saying that. But I was bringing up like the Mariners offense. I'll even pull this up here. Was so good that season. You had Griffey. This was A-Rod's first year that he broke out. You had Jay Buhner's best year. You had Edgar Martinez's not best year, but in his prime year. You had Paul Sorrento, who's playing first base that, still was like a 285 mid-20s home run guy. You traded for Mark Witt, and you had this just absolute record-breaking at the time offense. And you missed the playoffs by a couple of games. The problem was that year the pitching was injured. Randy Johnson missed most of the year. I think he only made like 7 starts, or he was like 5-0. So you had that kind of going on, and the bullpen was inconsistent. And they missed the playoffs. They won 85 games. Texas Rangers edged them out. There was no wild cards back then, but still, that's what this kind of team reminds me of. Just when you stack up the numbers next to each other.
You gotta love these guys. Actually, that videotape introduced me to the Mariners. The 1996 "You Gotta Love These Guys" that was hanging in my father's like TV cabinet.
When Rick Riz had his real hair, his original
he had hair.
say.
Dave Niehaus was really healthy, and he had Ron Fairley filling in once in a while. Like, yeah, a lot of things. But a lot of things people also forget was after 95, the ownership really purged that team into pieces. Tino and Jeff Nelson are gone. Another video that I made about. Half the bullpen was pretty much just decimated. Tim Belcher didn't come back. I mean, his last moments with the Mariners, let's get real, was when he chucked his glove and broke a camera after Game 2.
Yeah. Never saw him again.
Nope.
No. Yeah, but look at this right here. You're right. We already pulled this up earlier, so whatever, we'll pull it up again. Like, look, 23 home runs, 93 RBIs, 289 coming from your first baseman, 291, Joey Cora doing his thing, getting on base. Alex Rodriguez, 358, 36 home runs, lead the league with 215 hits. Griffey, 303, 49, 140. Jay Buhner, 44, 138. Edgar Martinez, 327, 26 home runs, 103 RBIs. And then you did trade for Mark Whitten. But yes, you did give up Tino Martinez and you gave up Jeff Nelson. And sure, you look at this right here, you look at this pitching. But again, back in the 90s, the ERAs were a bit higher. But it's very comparable to kind of like the production you're getting from this team, where you do have you have a lineup that is so good that you're like, man, this should be a playoff team. But where would this sit with disappointment with you guys if they missed the playoffs with this roster? With what? Let's give the ownership some credit. They had a good trade deadline. You know, they did what they could at the deadline, I think. Maybe you could have got one more pitcher.
Arm.
But, yeah, one more arm. Sure. I agree there. But where would the disappointment level be versus, like, other years? Like,
definitely more than last. I would say definitely more than last year for sure, because at least last year we kind of figure it wasn't going to work, and they kind of had that accident kind of okay September month. I want to say it's going to be more disappointing than 23, because 24, just the feeling of it, like getting Suarez back, even though he shouldn't have been traded away to begin with anyway.
Yeah.
And then Cal Raleigh having a monster year. Last year, it was just wasting the starting rotation. 23, don't know what, I mean, it was wasted, sure, but it was like what was really wasted, like the bullpen, good starting pitching. I think for some reason, I think 25 will be up there along with like maybe like in the early 2000s, like 2002 and 2003. That was massively disappointing. I would say actually at this point, this one will be more disappointing because after this season, the arbitration years of George Kirby and Logan Gilbert are not going to last forever. Randy Arozarena is entering into his final year of arbitration before he becomes free agent. And then Suarez is going to be off the books. Naylor's going to be off the books. So after this season, especially if they don't miss the playoffs, what are they going to do with this team? Because I do think the team is going to be a little bit different, like maybe like a transitional thing from 23 to 24. And that could happen again because I don't expect them to re-sign Suarez. Like, we're going to lose all these fun players too. And then Rosarena's he's going to be expecting a lot out of his arbitration. And then what if Gilbert and Kirby, what if they don't get their extensions? And then they may have to be traded too. So that's why I want this playoff run to be this season. Like, I don't think we could really wait till next season.
Yeah, I would agree that this would be the most disappointing of all the years. One, because of the year you're getting from Cal Raleigh, an MVP type year. This is the best offense on paper that I've seen in the last few years with this team. What's different from the other years, this year the Mariners have always been kind of the front runner up near first place, consistently locked into a wild card. Those other years I felt like they were always playing from behind, but they played well in that predicament. And the biggest thing is the AL West is down so much. This division was for the taking, and they just have choked it away, just trying to even get there. I mean, there is a chance that they still could win the division, but, I mean, like we're talking about right now, you're asking this question, I mean, are we a playoff team? So I would say this year would be the most hurtful for me.
Yeah, they all hurt. They all hurt, right? Like it's like relationships, you know. Like the ones that don't work out, they hurt, and also the newest one is the worst one. And so I want to say, yes, this would be bad just from where we've been, what we've went through as fans here post the pandemic, post this rebuild. To get Gino back, a big mistake that you made. You have Gino on the team last year, you're easily a playoff team. And if you have him instead of Josh Rojas, are you kidding me? You missed the playoffs by one game. Yeah. But yeah, it would be up there. I think 2023, I was really disappointed just because of what happened in 2022. And them going, we're going to add on. And then we lived in that lie for the next, couple of years. But that's when it was like, whoa, they're really going to fuck us like this. I think it would be up there with 2023, but worse. It would be worse just hearing and reminding myself after hearing you of like, yeah, Randy's going into it's his last year next year. Gino gonna probably be gone, I would assume. You don't know what's gonna happen with Naylor, especially where he's getting all this pub about him. He's gonna be trying to cash in. Why not? And you're right. And then you got the arbitration with the arms, where you're like, this window with this idea of what this team is getting smaller and smaller. And I do feel like if they miss this year, we might be taking one of those steps back. I do agree with you. Go ahead.
And it's not like there's really much prospects to look forward to, like offense-wise, sure, like Laz Montez, Colt Emerson, Felnin Celestine, if he's healthy, which he never is, Johnny Farmelo, if he's healthy. But who are our pitching prospects? The only one that's notable out there is Gerangelo St. I don't even know if I even said that right, the switch-handed pitcher. That's pretty much it. At least going into 2022, there were pitchers to look forward to. That was when Gilbert had just got his feet wet. Kirby made his debut in around Mother's Day of 22. We didn't even have Brian Wu and Bryce Miller yet. They were in the farm system to look forward to. But going into the future, it's like, what is their prospects to look forward to? As much as people tout and go crazy about this farm system, but right now, all it is bats so far. And even then, knowing how the Mariners handle their bats, because look what happened to Dylan Moore. He leaves the Mariners and he's instantly good. There's no guarantees that those prospects are going to pan out at all. And I know I'm just going all 3. Now to think of it, 25 will still be more disappointing, because at least in 23 at that trade deadline, when they traded away Paul Sewald unnecessarily, at least they set that expectation of like, okay, maybe they're just selling, even though they didn't have to sell. And then August happened, and they're like, okay, they reset the expectation. But even then, I was like, going in September.
And then they got in the track. Then they got in the track suits. They got in the Run DMC track suits and got on the airplane, and nothing was ever the same again.
Yeah,
that was the turning point.
There's something wrong with going to the East Coast. Whenever they go on the East Coast, they go on this really weird trend. Like what was it? They went to New York, Baltimore, and Philadelphia. Got absolutely just pounded. Then they go to the East Coast again. I saw that. Yeah.
If Philadelphia wasn't such a great historic town to go check stuff out in, it would have been a complete bust. Going to the Mariners games was absolute work. That was like the work of the trip. The rest of the place was fine. Go ahead.
And then when they go to, what was it, Cleveland and now Tampa, and they're just getting absolutely humiliated. Even though Cleveland, yes, it was competitive, but should have won that series. Had they won that series, at least the Tampa series wouldn't have been as painful. But I don't know. All I can say is I'm nervous going into Atlanta because, yeah, they're having a down year, but right now they're playing with nothing to lose. And Mariners are a 500 team in Atlanta at best, but since they've been playing at that new stadium, they won the series last time in 23.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, every team I can make an example. I agree with you, Atlanta. I mean, this homestand. You mentioned earlier, Mine, when we were talking. I mean, I'm nervous to play the Angels. They're loose.
Oh God.
They seem to have our number at times, and we're in tight battles with them. So no game is what's the word I'm looking for? Just no game is comfortable coming up the rest of the year until we got to get started with the starting pitch and getting back on track. That's for sure.
And also, the Angels have a healthy Trout, but if there's anything to look forward to after this road trip, at least they're going to be at home for the majority of the time, because I think the only time they're on the road is when they're in Kansas City, which, by the way, that's going to be a high-pressure series, and Houston. But the one thing one of the narratives that I just want it to just be ignored and just let it go is the whole T-Mobile Park offensive suppression. Yes, it's true. Their offense, sure. Their offense takes some kind of a dip unless you're Cal Raleigh. And maybe I'll have to look at the numbers again. But there is one stat that everyone is ignoring with T-Mobile Park. Mariners win their games. And then when they play on the road, and even if their offense does anything better, their pitching gets murdered. That's why I don't like the T-Mobile argument. I think the only reason why they ran that narrative so hard in the offseason of 25 because there was nothing to talk about. They weren't making any moves. Nothing was happening. They didn't even make moves to make themselves look worse. So what else
They're
is there
wagging
to
the
talk
dog.
about? Let's just talk about T-Mobile Park because we're bored.
Well, you were mentioning that we got most of the games at T-Mobile Park, and I've been saying this, confident with them at T-Mobile Park. That's why I'm so like, man, I really would need this division win for my anxiety, because I just have no confidence in them right now. There's nothing to show me to have any confidence about them going in and winning a road series. The 2023 team, they felt like they were playing with house money, so they were that scary team you didn't want to play that nobody really knew about. People have the handbook on the Mariners, but yes, going into the what you were saying about the schedule, they got only 3 teams that are over 500, I believe, on the schedule: the Dodgers, the Astros, and Kansas City. And then they have the Rockies, the Braves, the Anaheim Angels, and St. Louis that I believe are all under 500. And there's some sort of ranking that Divish put out here. What is this? Tankathon? The Mariners have the 28th strongest schedule. So it's there. It's like maybe
They
the one
control
thing
their own destiny.
Yeah.
Oh God, I saw that quote.
They controlled it. In 23, they definitely controlled it. 24 was kind of like, it's kind of out of their hands, but there was still a shot. But this year, it's like, there's like no excuses, it feels like. It's more like Dan Wilson just make the better decisions, or Jerry Dipoto let Dan Wilson make the better decisions, or maybe just stop being so analytically obsessed, because if Jerry Dipoto really paid attention to analytics, he actually wouldn't put or even allow Randy Arozarena to lead off, because he's actually performed the worst as a leadoff hitter. He's actually best as a 3 hitter statistically. So you want to run by analytics there? I just did that.
I thought he was doing good when he was protecting Dumper. I mean, when he went on that big home run streak, wasn't he hitting 4th or 5th or wherever Cal was hitting? He was hitting right after him, I believe.
That was working just fine. So that was one of those, if it broke, don't fix it. But because Gino Suarez gets on the team, there's no room for Randy Arozarena. Let's just make him a leadoff hitter. And I do have the numbers, and I did check to back up my claim.
I was fine with them trying it for sure. But yeah, he hasn't been as successful there. The team hasn't been as successful there. And maybe, yeah, when you get Victor Robles back and you put him back up there and see, I don't think I'm with Hanno. I don't think JP Crawford is the answer up there, even though
that's fair.
But he hit better up there than he's hit right now. But does
does.
that matter where he's hitting in the lineup? I don't know.
He's batting 211 as a leadoff. This is Randy.
I would just look around that locker room if I'm JP Crawford and go, okay, I understand where I hit. I look at all the other guys on the team and I'm like, I'm not as good of a hitter as them. I'm not scary as them. I'm going to hit at the end of the lineup on the squad. This isn't a squad where Jorge Polanco is the number 3 hitter anymore. So him down at the end of the lineup is where he needs to be. But you're right. I'm not completely sold on Randy Arozarena. I think it was his on-base percentage and the power, and you start thinking, oh, can we get like a Ricky Henderson type dude up here? But yeah, the results haven't been there.
OBP 284 as a leadoff, 211 batting average, 36 strikeouts, and just 8 walks.
Oof. Yeah. As a 5th guy, when he was number 5, he was batting 277, 380 OBP, 41 strikeouts, but 16 walks. So just look at numbers alone, back up that Arozarena cannot be a leadoff hitter. And I actually fear that even if Victor Robles does come back, he still may not even be leadoff hitter. So I don't know if it even matters. I don't even know if it makes a difference if Victor Robles comes back, even after that suspension.
Interesting.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, we're running out of time here. We're over our time. We started late tonight because of the football game getting postponed out there in Philadelphia. But we still got on here. We wanted to do something before this weekend. Next week, I will be back in Seattle. I will be down at Tacos and Tequila next Wednesday. Tacos and Tequila, Pioneers Tacos and Tequila, your pregame sports cantina destination located at 1021 Occidental Avenue South. Also, get your rye bread and mustard merch at simply.cora. You can actually hit her up on Instagram or DM Instagram. And also, if you want to go to In the Clutch Apparel, they already got a shirt out for the incident between Devers and the Rockies. They always have the up-to-date shirts, MLB, NHL, NFL, WNBA, golf, whatever is going on. They got it in the clutchapparel.com. Use that promo code rye bread and mustard. Rooftop, you got some promos for yourself?
Yeah, I have that SeatGeek promo code Rooftop Sports. So if you would like to show love for the Mariners, or the way I want to show love for the Mariners, use that promo code Rooftop Sports if you are going to Atlanta, or if you're planning to come back to Seattle and you would like to fan the way I fan, which is boo, even though no one agrees with it, which is okay. Do that. Or if you want to shower them with the love like what Aaron Goldsmith would like to do, let's cheer for them. Give them an ovation to let them know we got their backs. However you want to do it, use Rooftop Sports for your promo code.
Nice. Does that promo code work? Does that promo code work for when the Savannah Bananas are in town?
Yeah, as long as it's on SeatGeek. Like, it could be a concert, could be a comedy show, anything.
That's good to know. We're always looking for a deal, right, Hannah, when we're down there. We're walking in after Tacos and Tequila. Yeah, we'll be down at Tacos and Tequila. Also have an episode coming out with legendary Mariners PA announcer Tom Hutler's back on the program. That'll be dropping next week. And, yeah, go check out Rooftop Sports on YouTube. You're doing all of the all the games. You're pretty much there, unless you got softball, right? That's number one.
Yeah, that's why I was, quote, delayed for tonight, but it still worked out. And Tom Hutler, that's pretty cool. Yeah, his voice is also should be considered just as iconic as Rick Riz, Dave, Niehaus. I mean, he's the PA guy. I mean, how could you? Yeah. I mean, he should be also heavily appreciated.
Oh, yeah, I appreciate it. If somebody was to document my life and make a documentary, I'd want him to be the narrator of it. Like, that's just like...
Go ahead and ask him about that.
I have. He's a really nice guy. I'd like to call him a friend. We recorded with him a couple of years ago, and I've hung out with him many times in between, and we just haven't really sat down and did another another episode, but also Seattle radio legend as well, just from all his work. And he's been doing some of the post games, filling in for Shannon sometimes, depending on like the travel schedule. So, but he also has a band called High Cheese. They're doing an event next week. Slips my mind where it is, but that's why we'll have him on here to plug all of that. But also one thing that Joe wanted to promote, right? Hannah, remember he told us on the 19th, the Friday game of the Angels series, there is going to be a line dancing competition down at Pioneers Tacos and Tequila. So if you want to get your tush push on, you're slapping leather, your sweetheart shottish, get on down there to Pioneers Tacos and Tequila. Anyways, with that being said,
Wait, hold on. Did you mean September 12th? Because 19th they're in Houston.
Okay. Yes, September 12th. Sorry, I got it.
September 12th. Okay, just want to make sure you get that right because you don't want no one showing up.
Yeah, there's nobody there. Did you see the fight that happened outside of the soccer game?
Me?
The only thing I saw was Luis Suarez spitting on a coach.
Well, apparently that got a fight going on outside. It was I sent it to you, I thought, Hannah, on Reddit, and they're brawling up and down Occidental, and thank God it wasn't out front of Tacos and Tequila, but I wish the cameraman was pointed the other way just so the rye bread and mustard sign was in the background.
If you just took the camera out there and just stuck it there, you could have gotten free views and probably and get like 200 subscribers for basically one reason.
Yeah. I was like, just turn the camera that way. Our banner's on the wall over there. Anyways, we'll end on that. Thanks again for dropping in with us. We went overtime here. We know Hannah's got to get up and go. Hannah, you know what time it is. Charge.
Churros. Papa.